Evades and crossovers are a universal system mechanic in the Grand Blue Fantasy Versus series. Evade is strike invincible frame 1, with invincibility ending on frame 25, with 4 frames of recovery, making it 29 total frames. Evade is not throw immune, and will just get you note escaped. The recovery of Evade is also a counter hit state. Crossover is very similar to Evade, with 29 total frames, but now with only 21 frames of strike invincibility starting on frame 1. However, Crossover has a few key differences from Evade. It moves forward, is only upper body invincible, and can move through opponents. Hitting it at any point is considered a counter hit. The most common places you'll find usages for Crossover and Evade are reacting to projectiles. Chip damage exists in this game, and in a few matchups it can really start to add up. Evading projectiles that you reacted to avoid chip is one of the most common use of these tools. This is mostly a mid-range tool though, as up close it's either no longer a reaction or a callout, and as already showcased, callouts with Evade and Crossover are very risky. Another great usage of this is that since projectile cooldown only starts once a projectile leaves a screen, evading a projectile will cause it to exist a bit longer, meaning you have time to approach without the threat of a projectile. Another common place that you'll find use for Crossover and Evade are chip out scenarios. Once you're in chip out, you're going to have to start relying on Evade a lot more. This is not because they're strong, but mostly because it's your only option sometimes. There are a ton of chip out scenarios if you're forced to block anything in this game. DPs also become much scarier. Really anything is a massive threat to you. You are almost always forced to make a hard call out with Evade in some way to win a round while stuck on chip, unless you have an advantage, the opponent doesn't really have great ways to chip you, or you have ways to get around getting chipped. Another usage of Evades and Crossovers are counterplay to specific moves. Some moves best counterplay is to Crossover or evade them so that you're able to get a punish, or sometimes get a better punish. Sometimes it's an option you can react with. Sometimes it has to be a call out. Either way, these are pretty niche scenarios. Knowing what situations and moves Evade and Crossover are actually effective against can be a huge boost, but you do have to use them knowledgeably as they carry such high risk. It's also important to lap out the risk-reward of these options, as sometimes the risk is too great and the reward is too low to ever justify it unless you're desperate. Sometimes, even worse, there's negative reward, as some things you would think to evade or Crossover, you would be left negative or even punishable. Really make sure you know where and what you are using this against and why. Because Crossover is able to pass through people, there are some knockdowns where this is the best thing to use to reposition. And finally, the last scenario is La Diva. La Diva's Crossover is unique. It has longer total frames, but you can cancel the recovery into SPD and supers. It's kinda dumb, but it gives her a reason to roll a bit more often, especially with her 5-frame SPD. Anywhere outside of these situations, generally, they are very, very high risk and low reward. While they may be defensive options, they are not something you can just do on defense. They are very specific in their uses. But let's go over why Crossover and Evade don't work as standard defensive options. First off, their total frames. With 29 total frames, they are incredibly slow. So slow that they are minus on a lot of things unless you do a super preemptive evade. For comparison, if done at the same time as 6XL, 6XL recovers about 4 frames earlier because it's 25 total frames on whiff. Every light attack is able to recover and punish in time almost no matter the timing the evade. Most normals in general will basically always recover faster. Even heavies have similar total frames to evade. A lot of standard pokes of moves like 2M or 4M, a lot of characters also recover faster than evade. This means that using evade at a block stun is basically always going to leave you negative against normals, so they are entirely useless against frame traps. This also makes them terrible as wake-up options, as every Oki option that people generally do will recover faster and be able to completely blow them up. And because of their long total frames, they're also reactable. And being reactable with counter hit recovery is incredibly bad. Doing evade and getting close heavy is just as bad, if not worse, than getting your DP blocked in a few scenarios. And this is especially bad with crossover, as you don't even need to time a punish. You can just 2M them. This also makes them bad at checking things you think they'd be more useful to check. Although they're not entirely useless, they are nowhere near a real answer for zoner tools. If you're reacting, you will never get a punish with crossover, and most of the time, you won't even be plus. This could lead to you trying to fish for crossovers and neutral on a prayer. But this is very risky. Besides the total active frames, just look at the risk-reward of evading crossover. The risk-reward on them are heavily skewed against you a lot of the times. Let's take a very basic corner pressure sequence. This is strong because it leaves Grand Plus. In order to be plus after evading or crossovering this fireball, you need to do it basically instantly. This means that you're not even reacting to the fireball coming out, you're guessing. And if you're guessing with crossover or evade, and anything else happens, so yeah, you can either be +2 or take 10,000 damage. There's also just other things that he can do that are good against normal evade. You would think that would leave you plus, but no, you're -3 there. And with far heavy, it even leaves you punishable. So your maximum reward for buffering a crossover after blocking a far medium is being +2, and not even in close light range. And the risk is eating a massive combo. This also applies to neutral as well. Your reward for crossover and evades are usually very minimal. Even with specific counterplay and callouts, your risk is absurdly high, with it increasing by landslides the closer you get to your opponent. Here I go. It is quite literally never in your favor unless you are doing it for a very specific reason that you know is a counterplay to something, and even then, it can still be a big risk. These two main issues are so all-encompassing to these options that it affects them just about everywhere. There's some more niche things that I could list, but I think this gets the point across well enough. Again, these options are not useless. They are, however, very niche in their uses. I made this video as it's become a lot more common to use them on defense, as you saw in the opening, and it's a really, really bad habit. And I see people getting exploded for it all of the time. It can work every so often if someone's not ready for it, but as people get better at the game, people are going to be more ready for it. And I would really recommend to not let this become a habit now.